A couple of
Exactly.
punchy ones for you. Let's have a chat about a couple of very practical things like paperless travel. That's a feature. I know it's a feature you've recently written about. It's the simple things, right? I mean, that's one. Obviously, we are in a digital age where even businesses are trying to make it that way because it improves efficiencies. But is there a couple of punchy, quick things that you can see coming along that can be added to make that even more impactful?
Yeah, look, paperless travel, it's something I've been doing for years. Like I said, everything that I advocate for, I do myself. Super easy. The only thing you really need to travel with is a passport and a couple of credit cards, if you have those. But honestly, everything's gone paperless. Technology is a real key in doing this within the industry. And I'm really pleased to see a lot of companies taking on board and investing in technology. We all travel with our mobile phones. It all comes off that, which is great. And also, you know, paperless, even passports will probably become redundant very soon. And it's all, you know, face recognition technology. Yeah. So that's really exciting and to do that. And it's a case of just getting yourself into, you know, doing it in little steps. Everyone is very attached to those pieces of paper. I must say, there are some situations in which paper may be needed. And the one time I've had to print a piece of paper in the last few years was my visa for India. So there are times in which a single piece of paper is required. But I think even that's going to start changing. Like I've traveled to countries in India, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Chile, UK, everywhere, South Africa, and I've not traveled with a single piece of paper. So technology is great. I, you know, get clients to download an app, save it on there. All your itinerary documents are saved as PDFs. You know, and it's just having that courage and confidence to try it until you get to a point where it's second nature and you do it anyway.
Exactly. What about, let's just break down in some quick ideas, because things like, you know, we flagged before the pillars you mentioned, you know, that management policy, the socioeconomic, the community, cultural heritage, the environment. Great pillars. And other general areas for different sectors of travel to look at are things like, do they have an eco policy? Are they aware of water usage? Recycling? Have they considered renewable energy? Less chemicals? Local community impact? Food waste, which you flagged. I'm glad you did. Diane McGrath, I think I mentioned to you, was on one of these, and she's actually on that. You have a listen to that when it comes out.
I will.
So these are general themes that all travel sectors can consider, yes. But then what might that also look like, and what are we seeing in different ones? And maybe let's banter briefly around that. Like, so for example, I've got 5 big ones here. One I was born in, coach touring, right? What do you think can be done in, what are you seeing or can be done in coach touring as aligned with these concepts?
Yeah, so coach touring, there's definitely been a push with coach touring to minimize single-use plastics. So they would have definitely put a focus on that. They're also looking at doing more sort of, you know, going into areas, unknown areas as well, kind of rather than just main areas. They're always looking for different ways as well, which I think is great. New itineraries, new experiences. But I find the biggest one I found is that single-use plastic. Also, the vehicles themselves, they can be more fuel efficient as well. Yeah. And I find I will see that moving forward. I think coaches are going to come down in size. I think the big coaches may not kind of work in the new environment. I think people are going to want to look for smaller numbers rather than the big groups of people. So
for sure. There's one I think, and this is firsthand, right? 10 years working with Kentucky, leading tours, training tour leaders, right? I think one, it's a subtle one. Drivers will love me for this, which is users want to use those toilets on coaches, but they're actually not being difficult to encourage you not to. And especially when you're talking about tours in outback areas and different areas or off the beaten track areas. Toilets with chemicals and trying to find great places to, you know, get rid of that and dispose of that appropriately is not as easy as you think. Yeah. So that, you know, it's right. If you are on these, it's great you've got that luxury there, but really try and they take regular breaks, use the brake stops, right?
Yeah.
Simple things like that as a traveler, you know?
And I know, I'll have to share something with you. I may not do it now, but toilets. I mean, it comes down to something as simple as that, like, you know, creating a good experience that people are going to want to enjoy, and getting rid of the chemicals as well. Yeah.
Another sector, cruising. What about cruising? Any quick ideas, any punchy quick ideas that you see or you think of there, Dayana?
Yeah, so straight away, again, they had a big push on removing single-use plastics. And I think they were using 2020, or some of them even 2023, as their sort of, year in which they were going to get rid of completely single-use plastics. And there's a lot more sort of education on board as well. I found that there's a lot more signage on board on these cruise ships to encourage people to use less water and to refill, reusable bottles and things like that. So cruising has, there's various levels of cruising, obviously. You'll find that there's a lot more interest and focus on the expedition cruises. So people can get onto these cruising experiences, and they can come away with having learned so much more. It's a much more, rather than a cruise where you just kind of sit and relax, you're actually more engaged to get off the boat, ship, I should say. I often say that, sorry. Get off the boat, get off the ship, get on the land, speak to the naturalist, the guide, learn more about what's happening to this area. And then you walk away as an ambassador for conservation. And a lot of the cruise companies use that, which is great.
Nice.
And so I think cruising, also vessels, I can't leave you without saying there's a big push on creating much more fuel efficient vessels. And Hurtigruten is a great one, in which they've got a hybrid vessel that they created. Quark is another one. So there's a lot of them investing in new vessels that are much more fuel efficient, less carbon, and that's great. That's a great option.
Yeah, great. We talked a bit about aviation already, so we'll maybe leave that one. But hotels and accommodation.
So hotels and accommodation, again, a focus has been on the single-use plastic. I think that for a lot of these industry operators, that's their easy kind of thing to address first. So again, a lot of reduction in single-use plastics. I'm seeing a lot of hotels now getting rid of those even small little amenity bottles in the bathroom, and that's been great. A lot of them are going to, putting in refillable kind of pumps as well, which is great. There's also a focus on minimizing linen changes. Rather than do them every day, it can be once every 3 days, unless it's on request, which I think is really good. And that's actually been proven as a way of minimizing water use and energy use. So it's actually been proven. So that's a really good one. Again, making it easy, like opting in the traveler to, stay with the towels and linen that they had. And if they want to change them, they get changed. If not, they'll be changed every 3 days.
I love that you called that one out, because that's one I actually do myself. Like whenever I go, if I'm traveling for work, I'm in a place where it's a day, 3 days. You know what? If I'm at home, I use a towel more than once. I use it more than one day. Why am I going to do something different because I'm in a hotel? So I'll happily play my part in that stuff. Yeah, don't change the towels. So that's fine. And that's something that as a traveler I can also do. I think you're right. Like make it easy for me, but yeah, you know what? I can do that anyway. I can make sure I do my part with simple things like that.